All right, so this event came to my attention in the form of a tweet on X. I don't know this account, Will Gorin, but he happened to post up this video. There's the street performer there. If you've ever been to Vegas, I'm sure they do this in different touristy city centers around the world. But I've most seen them in Vegas where they dress up as if they were a statue in this kind of monotone gray. This person appears to be going for a Teddy Roosevelt kind of look, with what I presume are replica revolvers on his hips. And he entertains the pedestrians going by. Always there's some kind of jar at his feet where people can leave tips, contributions to the art. And then this jerk, we can just see his purple shirt, tattooed arm there on the left. This jerk decides to interfere with this street performer's ability to practice his craft, and not just interfere, but commit crimes against him. So we'll take a look at the actual video and the response, the ultimate response of the street fighter, which fortunately was not use of the revolvers. And then we'll take a look at Nevada law about this event. So we start off right here. And we'll see the street performers doing a kind of, statuesque handshake thing with this young kid here in the monster hat. Family is onlooking. And then we'll see what appears to me to be an intoxicated pedestrian comes in and begins pestering the street performer. I'm speculating as to the intoxication, but he's got that kind of blank look on his face. So here we go. There's the troublemaker.
Hey, leave him alone, man.
Messing with his hat, touching his head, body. A particular gross step here. Licks his finger, puts it in the guy's ear. Rubs. Oh, there we go. And that's the end. So I presume the person punched simply stumbles away. It doesn't look like he falls to the ground dead, or I expect there would be more of a reaction from the crowd. They appear to be looking off down the street at him as he walks away, is what I'm speculating happened here. So we have this conduct of this pedestrian literally touching this street performer and coming close to touching him on a sustained basis. He's not quitting. He never quits until he's punched. And then we have the single punch thrown by the street performer, which apparently resolves the situation. So let's take a look at what was going on here from a legal perspective. In particular, let's take a look at, I'm going to imagine this happened in Las Vegas, Nevada, so we'll take a look at some Nevada law. But as a matter of general principle, before we look at particular statutes, because the Nevada statutes are kind of clunky in terms of how they're structured, so they can be a little difficult to follow. So let me lay out the general legal principles we're talking about here. First, the pedestrian is committing criminal acts here, at least two. The acts of assault and the acts of battery. Now, classically, what assault means is that you've put another person, your conduct, your intentional conduct, has put another person in reasonable fear of imminent harm or unwanted touching. The touching itself would qualify as the harm. There doesn't need to be some explicit injury. In fact, there doesn't need to be any contact for assault. Assault is in the victim's state of mind. You've created a state of mind of fear of imminent harm or touching. So, for example, if you rush up on someone so they can see you coming and you raise a fist like you're going to punch them and you stop at the last instant and don't actually touch them, there's zero contact made, but you've put them in reasonable fear that they were about to get punched, that would be an assault. And an assault that threatens only non-serious injury or does not involve any kind of weapon, particularly what would be clearly a deadly weapon, would be a simple assault. And a simple assault is a crime that's typically a misdemeanor. Under Arizona law, it would be punishable by usually 6 months, but potentially up to a year, but not more than a year in usually a local jail. So 6-month misdemeanor would be pretty typical for a conviction of assault under Nevada law. We also have the crime of battery. Now, battery is quite different than assault. Battery does require some contact with the victim. Unlike assault, it doesn't require that you put the victim in fear of the contact. It's just the contact itself. So if you rush up behind someone so they don't see you coming, they're never aware that you're approaching, and you shove them or punch them or whatever, you make some physical contact with them, their clothing, something they're carrying, you've committed the crime of battery, an unwanted, offensive touching of them. Doesn't require that they knew it was happening. Could be a total surprise to them, but it's the contact that's required for the battery. Now, often, of course, these kinds of events involve both putting someone in fear of imminent harm and the unwanted contact. So you rush up towards someone so that they do see you approaching with a raised fist, you've committed an assault. And then if you actually punch them, you've also committed a battery. And of course, this would be referred to as assault and battery. Assault and battery is the classic criminal phrase. But they can occur independent of each other. They're each independent crimes, and they could each be punished as independent crimes. So a battery that would not reasonably inflict serious injury, does not involve a weapon, would typically be a misdemeanor or a simple battery. And again, be punishable typically under Nevada law by 6 months in jail. Now, either assault or battery can be aggravated to a much more serious crime. And that's typically the case when either the assault or the battery involves a threat or infliction, reasonable foreseeability of serious bodily injury, so death or serious bodily injury, or involves the use of a deadly weapon. In either of those cases, the simple assault becomes an aggravated assault, and the simple battery becomes an aggravated battery. And aggravated assault, aggravated battery are felonies. So now you're looking at potentially years in prison instead of a few months in jail. So much more serious offenses. The truth is, aggravated assault and aggravated battery are often used these days in the modern era in place of what would properly be termed attempted murder, a failed murder. But we don't like murder statistics. Well, the police departments and the politicians don't like murder statistics to be high. So they artificially deflate them by degrading what should probably be attempted murder charges to assault and battery charges instead. All right, so with those basic legal doctrines in place, we can see that what this pedestrian was doing was both assault and battery. Lots of little batteries. Let me pull the video back up again. So all this stuff, this touching, even the touching of the hat, folks, you don't have to be touching the person's skin, the ear, the body here. This is particularly disgusting. That deserves a punch all of its own. That's just gross. And the hands to the face, all this stuff to the face and head, folks, even without a weapon in hand, that is as threatening as you can get without a weapon in hand, is to put your hands in someone's face around their head. That's our most vulnerable place on our body, right? Our eyes are there, everything. So it's incredibly threatening. You should never be surprised if you put your hands in someone else's face, even if it's a pointed finger, that you get their hands back in your face. So don't be doing that. If you're being threatened, keep your hands up, but they don't have to be in the other person's face. Maintain distance. It's very, very threatening posture here. So he's got it. Look, his hand is like almost on this guy's lips. It's so gross. And that's when the fist comes in. Bam. Pretty good shot. Yep. Rocked him. Of course, it's not that hard to punch drunk people usually because their reaction times are crap because of the alcohol, but he punches him here. So when he punches him, what's he doing? Is he himself committing an assault or battery, or is he acting in lawful self-defense? Well, I would suggest he's acting in lawful self-defense against these criminal offenses being committed by the pedestrian. All this assaulting, all this battery. So, some of this you might say, well, it's only it's battery, right? This tapping of the body, messing with the ears, because perhaps you might say the street performer didn't see that coming, was not in a state of imminent fear of this happening. But certainly this stuff here, the hand to the face, that clearly assault. And if there was contact, and it looks to me like there may have been contact, just another battery. So lots of simple assaults and batteries occurring here in just a few minutes.